I want to thank you all for coming. I can't tell you how excited I am. Oh my gosh. I don't know whether Konkon found me or I found Konkon. I think Rhonda, well, he found Rhonda, and Rhonda told him about us, and I met him, and took me to his studios, and he just blew me away, totally. And not only that, he's asked me to paint with him. I am beyond excited. I have totally rearranged my life. I'm going to do it. So, you all know Konkon. He just needed an introduction. So he's going to tell us his story. If you haven't heard his stories, you're going to be blown away. I can't tell you how impressed I was. I just love you guys.
Janice, thank you so much. Thank you.
A new friend.
I feel very honored to be in your kingdom. It's a very good art kingdom. And all of us, we are art knights, so sometimes we should get together. Well, one thing, I mean, I like it so much, so you will have a hard time to read out of me at some point. I'm absolutely sure about that. Now, according to Georgia O'Keeffe, for an artist to speak in public, it's equal to a little baby to jump from the crib and make the first steps on the floor. And that's absolutely true. We usually have a hard time speaking, and you should forgive me if I go too far or too long, because thanks God we don't have children here. One of my favorite ways are very on the border with obscene language, and I'm so sorry about it. But this is what the girls in St. Margaret's School, they loved about us, that we don't play the games, we just speak our heart, always. Now, very often we try to cover one very difficult question: what art actually is. What is art? Now, another artist I want to mention, American artist, her name is Agnes Martin. She had an exhibition. By the way, I like how she speaks about that. I have a little bit of problem with what she paints because it's almost invisible. Well, we have invisible stuff as well, but her goes beyond that. Her paintings are almost white canvases with just a little bit of wash of something, and then, you know, but she's a great mind in the arts. She's a really strong stone in the American art. And now, one guy came to her exhibition, look at the painting and say, what I'm looking at? Now, this question is really crooked. This can drive a banana. So, instead of answering him what he's looking at, she said, usually when people listen to music, they accept the music using their just emotional response. They get happy, they start crying, they smile, they react emotionally. Why in the world they don't do the same when it's come to visual art? Why we have to be discriminated that way? You know? Well, that's a good question. Not still, we still cannot find the answer. Maybe we were too soft to the viewers so far, or something. Now, another one with Agnes Martin. One friend of her, or neighbor of her, brought his little granddaughter to her studio, and she had a vase with a beautiful rose, red rose, fantastic fresh flower. And the little girl said, oh, how beautiful is this rose? And Agnes took the rose out of the vase and gave it to the kid. And then she asked the girl, can you put it behind your back? And she did, and she said, is the rose still beautiful, my girl? She said, yes, of course. She said, no, The rose is beautiful here in your mind. So everything what we call beautiful is beautiful in our mind. We label it beautiful. Imagine the tribes in Africa or Australia or whatever. They have very strange ideas what is beautiful, I'm telling you. For us it will be very difficult to accept that. And other nations as well, you know, even regular nations, they have strange ideas what is beautiful. Many, many years ago, the Japanese ladies, they have to deform their feet just to be beautiful. Is that beautiful, for God's sake? I don't think so. I don't think so. Is art dangerous? Somebody will ask me. Is the art dangerous? Well, a friend of mine, she gave me a wonderful book. Wonderful book. I was wrong. I was thinking that my Bible is the book that I gave her in return. It was not. It was the one she gave me, which is called Vincent and Theo. Vincent and Theo. It's a fresh book from 2013 or whatever. American author. She lives in New York. She took the burden to read 700 letters between the brothers, each and every one, and not only to read this letter, but to find the meaning, to find the pinnings, how the things goes and what's going on. And I'm really embarrassed because everything I was teaching students all my life about Van Gogh is 50% wrong now. 50% gone because I was stupid enough to believe in books that I was reading. Guys, don't believe books, okay? Don't believe books. Believe your heart. Let your heart guide you what is true and what is wrong. I had the feelings about all these things, but I was not sure. And reading the book, I realized that I was right of many things, including that hopefully Van Gogh didn't shoot himself. Give me a break. Who will gonna shoot himself in the stomach, for God's sake? If you have to kill yourself with the pistol, with the rifle, you should go even to your brain or to your heart. You are not gonna shoot yourself in the belly. Now, it's a long story, and you will find on it by two teenagers. They saw the pistol in his paint box. They asked him permission to play. The guy was banana already. He told them, okay, play with the gun. They play with the gun. They start fighting who will gonna hold it. The gun charged it. And now, what gives me proof here? Because this is unproved, except that one of the guys died a few years ago. He was almost 100 years old, and that was his last confession. That incidentally, they killed the artist.
Wow.
Now, Van Gogh told the police when they came to the inn, he told the police, I want no one to be blamed for my death. If you kill yourself, who you expect to be blamed for that, you know? But they didn't mind that. They couldn't find the pistol. It was just French police, 19th century. So, let's not go too much about this, but tell me another thing. The guy, Van Gogh, we're talking about Van Gogh. I'm very excited about him because when I met Konstantinov, she used to call me that I'm her Van Gogh. I was very ginger at that time. I was not Bob, you know? And she always tried to find something that I do, or I was nervous like him. I was kicking things like him. I was Van Gogh with the cream on the top of the ice cream. So now, what actually I want to tell you, if one of us produce 200 paintings, oil paintings, in 400 days. This is already a suicide. He don't need to shoot himself, or nobody needs to shoot him. He's dead. After this experience, you're just dead, you know. Your brain is gone. Imagine the pressure. We used to call, officially in the art world, they used to say, to produce a painting, to give birth to a painting, it's like a lady giving birth to a baby. Who can do 200 babies in 400 days, guys? Even the modern people that forget about 9 months or whatever, they cannot do that. Nobody can do it. So that was about Van Gogh. Another question you should never, ever let nobody ask you. How long it takes to do this? No, wrong. Beep, that's wrong. You don't ask this question. It's inappropriate question, you know. Why is it inappropriate? Picasso, Pablo Picasso. Unfortunately, another artist that mostly we don't know enough about. Konstantin and I, we were still in college of arts when in our Bulgaria, in our Sofia, it was a huge book fair with antique books, with everything. All the street was covered with booths filled with books. We found an encyclopedia of Picasso's work from the very first childish drawing to the very last work of him. Amazing. He was able to do everything. He did hyperrealism, he did expressionism, impressionism. Every single technique was explored by him. Every single style was brought to perfection. He was just very quick, and he couldn't be trapped in one and the same style forever after. And I can perfectly understand, because Konstantin used to tell me, I want to swim in many streams. I don't want to be trapped in just abstraction. Well, that was a knife with two sharp sides or something, because in one of our first exhibitions back in another continent, somebody came and asked, how many artists are in this room, you know? How many artists are exhibited here? Because there is realistic work, there is surrealistic, there is this and that and that, there are ceramics, there are installations, whatever. We say, okay, we will take it easy. When we come here, we should put paintings in one and the same style, okay, at least. Another place, when we go there, we will put another story. And in our, so nice to see you. And in other words, we found a nickname about the streams. The one that is too illustrative, we used to call it illustrategy. This is our strategy for illustration, to illustrate. These guys with the bulky flying around sails, these are sailing beyond. This is our project, Sailing Beyond. I'm a little bit tired of sailing, so I'm dropping down the sizes, and you will probably see something which comes in October in a beautiful, intimate gallery in Colonial Beach. Yes, here is the queen of Colonial Beach Gallery. Now, something else that I definitely have to tell you. Usually for beginners or for people who are living in the beautiful bubble of a local gallery, and they don't stick bananas on the wall with duct tape and sell them for $6 million. Usually for these people, the first come to them is learn the rules. You have to learn the rules. Wrong. You have to learn the rules for only one reason, to know how to break them. Okay? You cannot break something that you never learned. That's the only reason for you to learn techniques or to learn rules. We came to the point to read out of many things that we learned in High School of Arts over there. In Bulgaria we have High School of Arts and then College of Arts. We learn a lot of things. We were under this trap for many years. It took us 30 years. We are a little bit slow. 30 years to clear out everything that we don't need and to keep what we need. I'm not trying to tell you now that our education was a bullshit, okay? It was something important, and we managed to keep whatever is good for our art. That's the point. What is good for your art, you can keep it. What is not, and who will gonna tell you this? Your heart. You have to listen to your heart about it. So, would you like to hear about these paintings now? Because I did something very unusual. I mean, Janice gave me a good lesson. She told me, can you tell us, when the occasion comes, can you tell us something? What are the stories behind? I had no idea there are stories behind. But I said, let me check, let me find out. I never say no. I usually say, give me one night, just like John Lennon, give me one night and I will come out with another song. So, now, the very first one, I want to be this one, okay? When Janice asked me, I did a joke. We were in my studio, and she said, what is that? And I told her, this is somebody who is totally controlled from behind, like a puppet on a string. That was not, honestly. That was a joke. So I found out that Konstantin and I, we had in mind something else. It's actually allegory of everybody's dream to have somebody powerful, strong enough to pull you out of trouble every time you need help. This is just like a visual version of Beatles' song, Help. I need somebody, you know, I cannot do it on my own, I'm so old. So, this is why, well, somebody will say, okay, you're talking about guardian angel, right? And I will say, yes, right. A person who can pull you out of trouble is your guardian angel indeed. So, over here, we used to call this painting tack, because I don't know what tack means. It's probably something with the sales or with the company who produced them or whatever. But we like this, T-A-C-K. So, in one moment, I found out that our wedding photo, the photo of our wedding, is totally resembling the ghosts on the left corner of the painting.
Oh, yeah.
We love Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde is deeply our guy, you know. We prepare a big box of tissue, Konstantin and I, we sit together and we read his stories more and more and more times. And every time we read our stories, please come in, come in, come in. Now we learn the obscene language, okay? Every time we read the stories, we can find more and more and more details and interesting moments hidden between the lines of the story. So the idea here was to give the same pleasure to the viewer, to you guys, to find out that there are some ghostly appearance over there, which is based on Oscar Wilde's The Fisherman and His Soul. The fisherman is carrying the mermaid that he caught in his net. And he's very careful. She's sleeping, so he tries not to wake her up. This is the moment when I caught my mermaid. It was 1979. Later on, you can touch it and see it more closely. But I found out that somehow undermined, this image came over there, and I had no idea, honestly. These things are unconscious. These are the pinnings that we don't see, but they work more than the one we see. Okay? And now, I want you to know as well that, especially, I can speak for us, but I can also speak for many artists, that our work is never done if the viewer, if this side is not part of the game, okay? Our work is halfly done. We present to you something. We are very fragile. We are very afraid. We are little bunnies who wants to know what's going on. And then you come, and then we are all together, and everything is complete. So 50% of the iceberg goes to the artist, and 50% comes from the viewer. The viewer can tell me everything. Now I have to be very delicate about this painting, because we have somebody here who knows in detail the roots of the painting, which I try to hide a little bit. So, we were watching this video. That's how everything started. We were watching some kind of incidental video about avalanche, which happened in Alps, in Germany, Austria, you know, Alps mountains. Somebody was having a video camera on, and the camera fell down and actually recorded the whole tragedy. Tons of heavy snow were running down the hills, destroying everything on their way, everything. Konstantinov managed to get close to the television set and switch it off just before we to hear the death toll. Because if we do, we are not going to be able to sleep the same night. So she managed to switch it off for us. And we start thinking what we can do, at least on a piece of art, to prevent this from happening. How we can eliminate a drama in life or in nature or disaster or whatever. And then we came out with this zipper. The zipper we found in Mr. Littell's company, that they actually repair sails for sailing boats. And at that time we usually went to him, because we do not interested of new sails. We interested of sails experienced in the ocean, you know, the salt, the waters, everything, the winds. And he was giving us many sails that we were using. And probably I still have some of them that I have to see what to do and how to do, because I'm telling you again, I'm a little bit old to sail right now. So I'm coming down to smaller sizes, and probably I will stick for a while with the illustrategy line more than with bulky abstraction, okay? When I go to illustrative side, I feel like dog who is mewing, you know, in the same time, because it's not our typical way. It's not our typical thing, but it's incredibly interesting in the same time, you know. It's incredibly interesting. Now, do you have any questions? I have to give you a chance to speak as well, right? Just ask me. If I know the answer, I will give it to you. If not, I will find it for you. I promise.
Tell us about Mona Lisa outside.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Say the question.
Mona Lisa outside.
Mona Lisa.
Oh,
Actually, we used to call it now Mona Lisa for some reason. That was one of the first when we came to St. Margaret's School, because over there we had a bigger studio, and during vacations we were allowed to use this bigger space. We put a big piece of sail on the floor, we cut it, and Konstantina did 2 of the sides, which was rough and not professionally. She did it by hand. I did a puncher, I punched the sail and she was going by hand all over it. Now, our idea was to use the image of Leonardo da Vinci, which was very dangerous in the same time, because Mona Lisa was explored so much, including in 1970s, Mona Lisa came to the toilet paper, if you remember. Somebody produced Mona Lisa toilet paper. It became a cliche, and we were kind of afraid, but we said there is nothing wrong if we just cut part of her face, because we found out that it gets very well in a triangle, and the triangle is absolutely equal, the 3 sides. And now, the funny part, Konstantina was pulling to Leonardo's image, but I was undercover to pull the image to her face in the same time. So what we have out there is not exactly Mona Lisa. It's a combination between Konstantina's face and the Mona Lisa painting. And I was telling people this forever, but I never tried to put the images together. And recently, I cut half of the face of Konstantina and half of the face of the painting, and I put them on a bottle. I love this game. Jackie knows about that I love this game, to give people a bottle.
Hi. Sorry to
Okay.
wait.
So, I found out that I was right, surprisingly. Just for a change, I was right. And Mona Lisa, the painting face and my wife's face, they perfectly match. Even the smile goes from one to one. That was wonderful. Unexpected, but wonderful. I'm so glad for all of you coming. I mean, to see all my friends together, that's a pleasure like no other. I don't know how I deserve that honor, but I'm so, so grateful to all of you for coming. We should fight for the art all together. I told you, we are knights of art. There are queens of galleries among us. There are mothers of great artists. And what I can say, we have to be together. We are knights. We have to fight to do the things right. Because sometimes, even for me, it's very difficult to accept some things. I was not very excited about, I mentioned the banana already, but banana on the wall with duct tape, come on guys, give me a break. I cannot support this. I cannot tolerate that, even if I want. Somebody will say, you're a professional, you should be quiet because the people can look at you. Why the big moguls over there? Why the big people in art world didn't actually? Some of them react, by the way, but not too many. Because for them it's a good business to sell a banana from Walmart, just one banana for $6 million. That's a good business, come on. Who will not gonna do it if you can? I will not gonna do it. Because Paul McCartney gave me a good lesson. He said, I don't care too much for money. Money can buy me love. So that's it. I believe that. Not to mention that he did a lot of money. But I can forgive him, that's fine. You know? I'm a Beatle generation. I'm a dinosaur. I'm everything that speaks about my world. The world I know and live is gone. But I'm happy and I'm honored to see the young people world and to be part of it as well. And to see fantastic things that we never thought about, that they are possible, and now we are seeing them growing and developing. Please ask me some questions.
How many years have you been painting? How many years have you been have you been an artist?
That's an interesting question. Once I found out my mom, she was 18 years old when I was born, you know. They were in college, my mom and father. I mean my real father. And she had a journal, diary. And over there she copied with pencil something like a train done by somebody very little. And she said, my son is 4 years old and today with some chalk he did on the balcony this train. And she put underneath, she said, he will be an artist. So, the family influence is incredibly important. It's incredibly important. If your family support your idea to be an artist, that's already half of the job is done, I tell you. It's a hypnosis, you know. They hypnotize you. You will be an artist. We did this with many kids, you know. We see some ability in her and we say, hey, you're a graphic designer. She said, come on, Mr. K. I said, no, you are a graphic designer. She became a graphic designer in Richmond. Another one came the very last trimester of her senior year, and she was always very eccentric about her outfit. You know, she's got one sock is red, the other one is yellow, things like that. And she came and she said, oh, I want to be a fashion designer, but it's too late. Miss Farmer didn't give me your classes because I'm not doing very well with mathematics. And I said, come here. We train her in the art room, day and night, and weekends, no weekends for you. She became a fashion designer. As far as I remember, she was assistant of somebody in New York, but I'm sure she is in this career, you know. It's very important, the self-influence and the influence of your friends and everybody. We were watching against this video and this Japanese guy woke up in the morning. It was called One Day of the Artist's Life or something. A young chap, he woke up in the morning and he said, today I'm going to my studio and I will do a masterpiece. I said, come on. Who told you that? Of course, my wife was very happy. She said, you see, you have to have a plan. We were always like this. She was the lady with the plans, and thanks God she was, by the way. Otherwise, I'm not going to talk to you tonight. And I was the one, oh no, you know, everything has to be spontaneous. So somewhere in between those two came a good match and a good thing. For example, okay, I will do some questions from your side. How you managed to paint together with your wife? It was not a roses garden, especially when you have somebody like me in the group. But we were funny. She comes out with an idea, and I said, no, this will not gonna work. Then, next morning, I say, look, I'm very sorry. I think your idea is great. She said, no, I changed my mind. You're right. You're right. So we were always like this. What I'm doing now, you will ask me why I want to be Konkons, why I don't want to be Ignat Konstantinov, for many reasons, by the way. Check on Picasso's name, please. Ignat Konstantinov doesn't work in a big scale in art world. Picasso has 18 names, and only one of them is Picasso, which is his grandmother's name, and he realized that this sounds magic. Picasso. Check it, find out, and you will see how many names he's got. In my country, we say, the last one to close the door, please. When there is somebody from Spain who is a novelty and has 20 names, one after another. Anyway, my wife's name is Konstantina, and my family name is Konstantinov. So we say, okay, here we have a match. Her name is like my family name. And by the way, the meaning in Bulgarian language, Konstantinov, is not only a name of somebody, but it also means directly somebody who belongs to Constantina. You know, this is the Konstantinov's paper, let's say, or something. So, what I'm doing now to continue our work, first of all, we have 20 years. With Konstantina, we knew what is coming. We never knew when it's coming. But we had enough years to put on the side ideas, sketches, notes. She had whole sketchbooks, not only with drawings that we created together, but with her notes in Bulgarian language that I'm reading now. Not to mention that the last years of her life, Konstantina locked herself in the house that we live now because we were still living in the school, Pettigrew. And she was using it as a studio, and she produced 11 huge canvases, twice as this one. Some of you saw them, amazing. I haven't seen them in the progress because she told me, no, I'm not gonna let you see them. I will ask you to see them 6 months after I'm gone. 6 months after she was gone, I was in a hospital because I was devastated. I couldn't stand it. Anyway, 1 year after she was gone, I opened this door. I went to the studio. These parts come usually with a box of tissues, but I forgot to get one. So, when I saw these paintings, I was amazed. They're so powerful and so far of her personality that I know, a kind, quiet, modest lady. And over there, we have 11 ladies, fighters, with guns, with swords, with all that kind of things. Probably that was some kind of reaction, some kind of allegory of her roar of what is it to be a woman in our man's world at that time. I have to confess that was it. That was it. Anyway, I exhibited them 2020 in Art Space in Richmond. I exhibited them here and there. 2 of the paintings are nudes. They're not nudes to me, but they're nudes to some galleries, you know. She's really crazy. Anyway, whatever. The nudes, I keep them. And I never exhibited them, but whoever wants to see these paintings, I will give you my card, you can come and you can see them. It's really worth it. I knew that the paintings are big because she asked me to put canvases on the top of each other. For example, one like this and one underneath like this, but they're connected. The connection is my effort, and I did it really good. I mean, I did a good carpentry job over there. So that was it. And I helped her a little bit with these accessories that she put, like the sword and the pistol. I purchased for her a real pistol from an antique store. She said, "No, that's funny. You know, these do not look like a pistol, actually, the real one." So she created an art pistol. You have seen that, and Connie as well, and many of you. Wonderful. You too over there, and you too over there. And guys, I really love you. I can't believe that I had this honor to see all of you at once. It's amazing. It's just amazing. Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes, Victor.
And
thank you.
you know, I've known of your work for a few years now. I find it imaginative, creative, and you know, I haven't seen anything like it anywhere. My question
Thank
for
God.
you, well, my question for you is, where do you get your topics? I mean, I know you talked about your wife's
Very good question.
ideas,
Very
but
good question.
how do you morph that into something that I want to put
Very
together?
good. Very good question. Victor, first of all, I want to explain, because here we have local artists as well, not only people who love art, but real artists with us. Our good relationship with the local artists always been based on we do something different. And what we do, you don't do. And what you do, we don't do. So we are in a good shape, you know. We are not replacing, we are not overlapping somebody's garden, because this is something that I hate. You know, I really do hate that. I don't want somebody to feel like we came here to, you know, to conquer space. Well, we conquer walls. We conquer walls. We conquer this one. And check the Prince Street Cafe. I conquered one wall over there one Christmas, and that was really brazzato. You should see that. The ideas. We were teaching in St. Margaret's, we were busy 24/7. Whoever been to St. Margaret's know that that's what it is, or other private school. We were giving duties, we were having, by the way, we were the troublemakers, because we were adding and adding and adding art classes till they came 16 different art subjects. Not classes, but subjects. Of course, after Konstantinov's passing, I retired on the same, well, 1 year more I managed till they found a good artist. But I had to drop down this because I cannot carry on all that. I really alone cannot do it. Now, Konstantin always used to tell me, okay, we cover all these classes, we prepare everything from them, the supplies, the programs, the comments, everything. Where is our class? Where is my class with you? And I say, yeah, she's right. So we start doing something else. If we have once a month, if we have a weekend that we are not on duty, no one of us, we sit together in the empty art room, we get some coffee, and we start dreaming, and we say, what's about this? What's about that? Now I'm working on something which is, I don't know how to explain this, it's a little bit crazy, but imagine Van Gogh in Tappahannock, imagine Van Gogh in Colonial Beach, imagine other artists with him. You will say, come on, give me a break, that's impossible. That's absolutely impossible. So I thought that the best title on this series of art could be Juxtaposed Reality. Realities which comes crazily to each other. For example, imagine Van Gogh in Paris, 19th century, on the street. He is changing his broken clothes, you know, with clothes that he found in the Goodwill box, 19th century Goodwill box over there. And other moments like this. Is that something real? I don't know. For sure, I know it's very intriguing. The people will live to see that. It's something strange. It's something unusual every day. So, we were putting all these sketches together. Some of them are dropped with coffee either because, you know, when we talk, some coffee drop on the paper, on these sketchbooks. These sketchbooks now are my insurance that nobody can bring me to the Ignat Konstantinov, and you guys will let me be what I am. Konkons, which simply is Konstantina and Ignat Konstantinov, the Konkons. Simple, short, and I believe it's working. Unfortunately, on the computer there are a lot of stupid variations on this, but there are stupid variations on everything. So, this one is not the worst one. Not the worst one. So that was a good question. How we find inspiration. Well, let's talk about people who live to buy art. Because we are very funny. We are artists, but we also buy art. Or we exchange some paintings between us. I love that as well. So, what the abstract is giving you is a little bit more than what the realistic, well, hold on, it's not realistic. We are talking here about figurative art. It means art which presents an image, and non-figurative art, art that do not present an image. Here you have three pieces which are in between. There are images, but they are not exactly images as well, the way we understand that. So, the abstraction is giving you more fields for viewers' imagination. The viewer can look at this painting and find things for herself or for himself. This is what the other art is giving you. The statement, how good the artist is, and well, I live this valley and he captured it perfectly. It's okay. There is nothing wrong about this. There is nothing wrong about this. The problem is that art of 21st century is significantly following the line started long time ago, actually in 19th century, that art is no more decoration for somebody's dining room, unfortunately. Imagine Christo and Jean-Claude. And there, we were lucky to be friends with them.
Oh, wow.
I mean, to know each other from first. How we can fit Christo and Jean-Claude in a dining room? Of course we can. We had posters from them, you know, on the wall. So, art is a great ocean, and thanks God today we have respect for each other. We have mutual respect. I love realism. I love impressionism. It doesn't matter that for someone will be strange that impressionists are still going on. Why not? Why not? What's wrong with this? In my yacht, we were having these mohawks and that kind of things, and we used to say, punk will never die. So maybe impressionism will never die. Who knows? We should be respectful to art, and when somebody asks this great question that I told you is totally inappropriate about how long time you spent on the painting, this reminds me about Picasso. He was, let's say, I'm not sure, 80 or 90 years old. He was celebrating his birthday on a yacht of some Greek guy who was very rich, the guy who married Kennedy's wife, yeah. And one rich lady, they were all celebrities, you know. One lady came close by him and say, Maestro, it's a shame I don't have anything from you, you know, I never purchased a painting from you, or drawing or whatever. He said, no problem, give me a napkin, I will sketch something for you. She said, I will pay you. He said, of course I know you're rich, you know, come on, give me a napkin. With his ink pen, he did his stick figures at that time. And she said, how much? And he said, $200,000. She said, what? $200,000? You did it in 10 minutes. And listen to this now. He said, I did it in 90 years and 10 minutes. So this is what the people who purchase art should think about. How many sweat, blood, and tears there is behind the work of every artist, every time. How much suffering, how much craziness, how much depressions and anxiety and shouting and kicking and all that kind of things. Till the moment when, we mentioned this already, it's giving a birth, you know, it's like that painful sometimes, or they the same joyful sometimes as well, you know. Guys, when you get fed up of my bullshit, just let me know. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Put a quarter in the jar.
Sorry.